The showers will tend to be lighter and more scattered elsewhere, with the lowest temperatures of -1 to +2 degrees. Now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Well, coming up, busy show for you tonight. We're going to bring you an interview with now retired Ulster and Ireland second row Dan Tuohy between 8 and 9. Lots of interesting things to say. We have a busy football show. Man of the moment, Jordan Flores, after his pushgas contender against Shamrock Rovers, is going to join us. We will also hear from Pat Nevin and Mark Lawrenson as Liverpool suffered their first Premier League defeat in 44 games. Plus, interesting weekend at Congress. Hurling most certainly said no to the black card. Football, meanwhile, has banned the back pass to the goalkeeper. We'll talk to Cliona O'Connor. 53106, the text number. We are at Off the Ball on Twitter. Nathan Murphy in studio. Hello.
How are you?
Very well. Richie McCormack. Hello.
Joe, how are you?
Good. Not that these are joking matters, but I am in the throes of developing an addiction to bacterial hand gel, antibacterial hand gel. Can't walk by one without
look at you with
lathering the hands in it.
Antibacterial hand gel.
I'm all over it. Like it's a full-on. I must have done it 30 times today. I'm not sure. And maybe there's a dermatological expert out there who can tell me how much is too much. But I'm flirting with that line.
I'm 100% with you. We're all eyeing up the one little bottle that's out there thinking, is it a sackable offence considering the crisis that we are within to bring it home?
It would be a selfish act. But then again, it would be putting your family first.
Of course.
So this is the dilemma.
Not that you wouldn't do it anyway, but I always find washing your hands anyway is a nice little treat in the cold weather. Because even if you don't necessarily need it, just run your hands under the warm tap.
Happy birthday twice was the information which struck me.
Try explaining that to children. I have fully and readily accepted that if it comes anywhere near my house, we're all getting it.
Yeah.
No matter how many times you sit down and try to explain to a 6-year-old, this is what you have to do. No.
Does a 6-year-old
hands go everywhere? Oh my
Does
God.
a 6-year-old wash his or her hands after a bathroom break as a matter?
Oh, well, if there was a world record, they try and beat it every single time for how quickly you can wash your hands. So it's done.
Right. Flash it under the water and go.
Yeah. So, well, that's ongoing. We will bring you an interview with Dan Tuohy, who has... did you see his retirement? No, separate matter.
It's quite the gear change, though.
Dan Tuohy, 11 caps for Ireland, scored a try in his debut against New Zealand, played with Ulster from 2009 to 2016, 140 odd appearances for them, and ended up in his final season, now age 34, playing for Van in the second division. Suffered a horrific injury, hand injury, nerve damage. Still, you know, he could only type the retirement message one-handed, such as the nerve damage in his hand. But also, it was the honesty of his retirement letter, I suppose, which garnered so much attention. Included lines like, rugby is rotten to its core. So that caught the eye, so he said. Now, it turns out Dan Tuohy's done about 24 other interviews in the last few days. We recorded this on Thursday. My heart...
Not an exclusive.
No, this is not an exclusive. My heart broke several times. I saw Comiskey on Saturday. I said, I'm not even reading it.
No.
I'm not even reading it. I don't want to know.
But you ask, as always, Joe, just the original question.
Well,
the ones they didn't think of.
I'm too scared to know. I'm Murray Kinsella as well. So, look, he's been around, but it is a very good chat and he's very interesting. It's interesting because generally, for a retirement chat, we would tend to get the 90-plus test player, lines player, come on in, legendary type situation in the main, whereas this is a jobbing pro, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, like he's still in the top 1% in his field. But it's a guy who was so close to that superstar status and had to sit there on the bench or had to sit there and hold tackle bags. And you get that experience. So it's an interesting chat. So that's on the way. Meanwhile, Nathan Murphy, I see on Saturday at the Aviva Stadium at our Pepsi Roadshow, you stirring the pot between two Irish legends, Brian Kerr and Jason McAteer. In steps Nathan Murphy. All hell kicks off. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Listen, it's not my fault. It was not my fault.
It looked your fault to me.
So I will explain the situation. We had our Pepsi Max Roadshow on Saturday night, Aviva Stadium. We're all very excited. Many hundreds of people all set to turn up.
Did they brave the weather, the crowd?
Some of them did.
Okay.
A good chunk. There was a good crowd.
Yeah. A fine crowd.
Fine crowd turned up. Considering at 4 o'clock, I was texting our producer, JP, any word from Petrov and McAteer? JP, as always, Mr. Positivity. What do you mean? Because the weather's quite bad. I'm just concerned about their flights. Nah, it'll be fine. I'm obsessed with Flight Radar. Do you use this app?
I know people who do.
Yeah, so I'm always on it. So
They are a certain sort.
if I'm outside my house and I'm with my son and there's a plane flying overhead, I'll be, where do you think that's going to?
Yeah.
And he'd be, I don't know.
I don't care.
London. I'm like, no, it's going to Reykjavik from Paris. He's like, what's your point? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyways, I'm looking and I have their flight details. McAteer's coming in. He's flying in over Hoth. It's all looking good. Oh no, big right turn.
He got as far as Hoth.
Both of them got as far as Hoth and a big right turn. Stilian Petrov, I think, was circling in the Irish Sea in that wind for about 90 minutes.
Oh, no.
They attempted to land and decided to head back to Birmingham.
Oh, I didn't realise it was that close.
Jesus. You'd be breaking yourself, wouldn't you? Have you ever been in an attempted to land situation?
Yes, I have.
That's minus crack.
And I've been on planes several Sundays over the last few weeks.
Sure.
Those little planes.
Yeah.
When it's been
Stowe
bloody
Airplanes.
rocky.
So you had your app out. You were watching this unfold.
I'm watching it and I'm going, oh my God. So it was fun. Like, we had Brian Kerr and we had David Myler and Stephanie Roach and Damien Delaney was in town and stepped in. So I knew we'd have a show. But I've spent the last 2 weeks reading Stilian Petrov's book and Jason McAteer's book.
What's better?
McAteer's I enjoyed just because, weirdly, I sort of knew some of the stories around it. Petrov I knew very little about, Stilian Petrov. But McAteer I sort of have familiarity with a lot of the time and the places and the people.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed McAteer's. And also, he's quite cutting in it towards a lot of people, Brian Kerr being one of them. So obviously with McAteer and Kerr in the room together was the plan. I'd read the book, didn't realise what was said. But then Brian brought up a incident. He started talking about when Roy Keane was coming back. And I remembered a line in Jason McAteer's book about that very incident. So I decided to read to him what Jason McAteer had said, which was that McAteer reckoned that Brian Kerr wanted McAteer and Roy Keane to sit together at a press conference when Roy was coming back.
Sort of a Morris Satter's Roy Keane.
Listen, Brian Kerr isn't bringing these Roy Keane back against our wishes. We're one team. We're Ireland. And McAteer was like, "This is like, is he taking the piss?" I think is pretty much the quote. Brian Kerr, and you can watch this back on offtheball.com on our YouTube channel, has a very different recollection.
He sure does. Not impressed.
Not impressed at all.
No. So that is you stirring it up.
No, but if you've gone to the effort of reading Jason McAteer's book, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
you're not
Fair
just going to
enough.
let it lie.
So I presume they'll be reunited down the line.
Oh, I hope so. I don't want to be there though.
Also there was David Myler, who I'm told, I haven't heard this, I'm told does a decent Mick McCarthy
I was surprised.
impression. Is this worth a play?
Let's give it a play.
Okay, here we go. David Myler at our roadshow on Saturday impersonating Mick McCarthy. Let's go.
Did you see anything in Jack Byrne last night? Because Mick was there. That you could
look,
throw him in a game of that importance.
I left before the goal scored.
Yeah, but they're so.
That's a be somewhere.
I mean,
That's Mick, it's Mick McCarthy's doing there, Damien. Mick McCarthy.
it's a bit of a mad one. It's a habit of people going to matches in England, managers, and they leave with quarter of an hour to go when they go to matches in England. The traffic isn't like that at all in Tally.
Brian Kerr, oblivious. Oh, sorry. I thought this was like a prearranged thing. I thought this was going to be like David's going to do his impersonation now.
No.
He just broke into
threw
it.
it out there.
Ah, good.
I think I was one of the only people that recognised it was Mick McCarthy. Damien Delaney, in fairness, for most of the evening was away with the fairies, so didn't notice at all. And Brian Kerr just kept on going. But I think it was worth playing because obviously I think we have someone who fancies himself as a Mick McCarthy impersonator.
Oh, he just cleared his throat. He's getting ready to go.
He's been there bulling all day bulling. about
Everyone's
this.
saying how good David Myler's impersonations are.
Can I just point out, no one in the office said how good it was.
That's the talk of the office all day.
Must have missed that.
There's a consent. Oh, don't get spiky. I thought you're the best.
Thanks very much, Joe.
That wasn't your best Mick. No, that lacked
Let him read the text.
That lacked a bit.
It's getting awkward now. I thought.
Do you do any impressions?
Yeah, but I can't.
Do you?
I break into them all the time in real life, and I can't do them in here. Can't at all.
I can't remember you.
I wouldn't do them in the office either for whatever reason. Rarely.
You're not as annoying as me, that's why.
You're very. In fairness, you are very good at them. So sometimes, yeah, I'm a bit inhibited. But in my life, when I'm comfortable, I break into them all the time. But if I try to do one now,
What's your,
terrible.
repertoire?
I love a good Northern England one.
So Mick would be ideal.
Mick would be ideal. It's not happening though. Can I get to the key issue of the textures?
You want, yeah.
And I'm glad they've raised this point.
Go on.
Because this has occurred to me, but I haven't really voiced it to anyone. The only problem is that COVID-19 isn't bacterial, Joe. It's a virus. Antibacterial wash, no good against a virus. Declan Morris on Twitter. Good luck keeping a virus at bay with an antibacterial agent. #science. And on they go.
Are they not recommending to use antibacterial?
Absolutely.
But does it not clean your hands?
Yes.
But not of the one thing you're trying to clean it of?
We are not putting that out as information on the radio, by the way.
Well, there's no antibacterial left anyways.
Sorry.
Can we just clarify? Nathan Murphy is not the
I just want to
HSE.
clarify.
Yeah.
I just want to
I'm
clarify.
just asking the questions.
I know you are.
If only every single radio show for the last 4 days hadn't had a doctor on explaining this.
I wouldn't think go off the ball is your go-to advice for how to deal with COVID-19. I would certainly hope not.
I was suggesting if this all does really kick off and every sporting event is cancelled for the next 6 months, that we'll just become Corona watch.
Can we branch out into other stuff? Like I saw a First Lieutenant, the new Martin McDonagh play, Gaiety on Saturday. Jesus, good. I want to do an hour on that play. It may come to it.
I was also thinking about this, that we should somehow, we'll have to try and invent some sort of new sport. So say the Olympics don't go ahead. And all these Irish athletes who are super fit, who are ready for the biggest moment of their life,
peaked,
are going to be stuck in Ireland looking for something to do. We should take advantage of that.
But this sport will be banned here too as well.
Damn it.
Well, you can have it behind closed doors.
No, we could do it where like people
Controlled
are in their own house. We come up with some sort of an event that you can do within your own house that you won't spread the disease. I've thought about this a little bit. I'm not quite there on the final product just yet.
Can we revive
but I feel there could be
superstars?
money to be made.
I do just want to go back to make the point that you should use antibacterial wipes, gels, wash your hands. Surfaces are the big no.
I love that that's where we are, that you have to give an official clarification.
I just really want to clarify that. I don't want this coming back to haunt us.
You're the one reading the texts here.
Like, honestly, about 20 of them came through.
Someone lying in an isolation chamber. Well, Joe Molloy says on Off the Ball that...
Keith Mongan on Twitter. I'm with Nathan Murphy on this. Flight Radar 24 geek. Nathan sounds like my dad, says John in Clonmel, with the aeroplane fascination. It must be a Mayo thing. Well, there's people not distantly related to me who will go, oh, do you know where that's going? No, Birmingham. Imagine.
You don't care. You see, where it does come in quite advantageous is...
If Jason McAteer's flying to your roadshow.
Well, exactly. Or if you're flying. So say, particularly if you're going with one particular airline who like to get you to your gate quite early. So if you're flying back from England...
Why can't you name the airline there?
Ryanair. Okay? And maybe it's not their problem, maybe it's the airport's problem. But say your flight is taking off at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock, the old final call will come up and you're going, wait a second.
There's no plane out there.
Let me just have a look here. The flight's just left Dublin.
We've
on
all-
its way to Birmingham. Yeah. Why would I go down there now? I'll wait till it lands.
Yeah. We've all sprinted to that gate and saw people just sitting around. It's
So that's where it comes in very handy.
fair enough, okay, I'll give you that.
Lots of men-
But out in the real world looking at the sky, I would feel, less so.
Just staring at the sky.
Just me.
Hopefully.
Just me, I'm just wondering. All right, so look, we've covered everything. Cliona O'Connor with us 7:30. Interesting thing, so the hurling sin bin rejected completely, the black card rejected 82% to 18, even though David Hassan of the Playing Rules Committee stood up and said they've analysed 20 high-profile hurling matches across 2 different years. 48% of all fouls are cynical or disruptive in nature. So basically half of the fouls in hurling are cynical. But like hurling people are saying, not us. Game's good, game's perfect, no cynical fouls. So we'll talk to Cliona about that. She's involved with the Dublin Hurlers at the moment. She also played in goal for the Dublin Footballers for 13, 14 odd years. And the back pass to the goalkeeper, gone. Malachy Glerkin had a very good piece in this today. Effectively making the point, it's not a fundamental change, but it's significant. And it's been rushed through. It's in place for this championship. Teams have 9 weeks to change their kick-out routine, I suppose. One of the reasons the hurling folk used against the black card was, we can't have this in 9 weeks, even though they're just changing cynical play. And yet football happens. This was proposed at 9:34 p.m, he said, on a Friday. The delegate in favour spoke. Nobody else even asked a single question. By 9:36...
It's madness, isn't it?
Rubber stamped, passed, done. Everybody deal with it.
So I was sitting here on Friday night on the desk outside, and you kind of see the motions passing through, and you're like, surely that's not gone through as quickly as it has done. And those are the 2 main takeaways from Friday night, at least, was that we had got a new president, and the back pass was outlawed. And you're like, what? Should this not have been like a long conversation?
I didn't even know this was up for debate. I didn't even know this had been proposed in advance. Like, there's lots of motions. There's too many,
Do people like zone out for like 2 minutes and just go, what was that one? Yeah, vote in favour. Grand.
Well, it's one of those where in 3 months' time when championship starts and everyone's going to be absolutely outraged. How did this happen? It's like, remember Congress that everyone ignored? Yeah, right there. Explain it to me exactly what the rule change is. So
you're my cornerback. I'm your goalkeeper. Forward press. I kick the ball to you. Suddenly you're swarmed. You turn back towards me. Everything says, hand pass it to me. You're not allowed to do that. Now, if you hand pass it to a fellow outfield player and he or she hand passes, I presume this is just the men. I don't even know. Different organisations.
Yep. Different organisations.
Okay, so if you pass to your fellow fullback, he passes back to me, that's fine.
Okay, so it's only the direct player that the goalkeeper kicks it to.
Yeah. So we can still,
And even in open play, so if you're building across the back and it ends up at your cornerback and it's in a bit of pressure, you can start again.
Yeah. So we can still orchestrate a triangle and that. So it's not massive, but it's not nothing either. And it'll change the way teams can press. You know yourself, if you're pressing up and you don't have to worry about the ball going, for a fact it can't go to the goalkeeper.
There's one angle he definitely can't go to.
Correct. So then, you can press with a bit more authority. It's not going to completely change things. But it was worth more than 2 minutes debate, and somebody even you asked that question. Everyone's just like, grand, sounds good.
Well, there's certain teams who like to use the goalkeeper in that sort of sweeper role.
Oh, yeah.
So Niall Morgan plays a quick little pass out, it's hand pass, and
that's the biggest thing.
He'll just drift 30, 40 yards up the pitch.
Changes the 1-2. Goalkeeper can't play 1-2 out of the game, from a goal kick. So I don't know. It would just seem like a fair point Malachy raised, I thought. Anyway, we'll touch Clean O'Connor, who in another life was a goalkeeper. Richie, first story, Six Nations.
Yeah, the organisers of the tournament say it will go ahead as planned, despite growing fears over the coronavirus. Ireland's meeting with Italy, originally scheduled for this Saturday, remains the only fixture to be postponed because of the outbreak. Following a meeting in Paris today, tournament organisers say all other fixtures will proceed as normal. However, they haven't ruled out further schedule changes, adding the caveat that governments may decide to call off games. Six Nations organisers have been in contact with both the Italian Rugby Union and the RFU in England about the possibility of relocating the women's and under-20s meetings of the sides scheduled for next week, but Rome will host the men's games, both those games in Northern Italy, we should add. Ireland are due to head to Paris on Saturday week to play France, but the French government still have a ban on gatherings of more than 5,000 people.
Has anyone clarified if the ban on 5,000 people in, quote, a confined space applies to football or rugby stadiums? Has that been clarified in France yet?
Don't think so.
Because top 14 and Ligue 1 went ahead. But
Which would make me assume that because they're out in the open,
it's not a confined space, yeah.
So if you're like gathering in the Bercy in Paris or whatever for a gig, then no can do.
But I was going to say, if you're travelling to the game, like 80,000 people to the Stade de France on a Saturday night, you're going to have very, very large groups of people in confined spaces for a certain amount of time.
But no more than commuting to work Monday to Friday or anything. But I presume it mustn't apply to matches because immediately the game would have been banned on the back of this rule when it was announced a couple of days ago, but there's been nothing since.
No.
Okay.
Cricket Ireland confirmed that the women's quadrangular tournament in Thailand's been cancelled because of the coronavirus. The tournament was due to take place in early April and would also feature the Netherlands and Zimbabwe, while the Swiss FA have confirmed that all domestic league games there this week have been postponed. All events there with 1,000 people or more are banned until March the 15th. Despite the lack of a game this week, a 35-man Ireland squad is gathered in Abbottstown for a training camp. It includes Leinster's 20-year-old lock Ryan Baird, who scored a hat-trick of tries on Friday night in the Pro 14 against Glasgow.
Ryan Baird, fair play to him. This guy seems to be the real deal. I knew a bit of rugby jargon for you from Ryan Baird over the weekend in Gavin Cumsky's piece in The Offload. He was talking about how, when he was younger growing up, he was one of the strongest and now he's not. And he's having to develop that edge because it's important that he's able to physicalise opponents.
Oof. Who taught him that?
I'm going to physicalise you.
What Ryan Baird has done in the gym, he has not done in English class.
Well, it's words. It's actually quite, it's impressive, but it's just another...
Did Cumsky's piece have a jagged red line underneath it?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. But this guy seems to be the real deal, only 20, and Leinster keep producing them, so I'm not surprised he's involved in camp.
Yeah.
Tyrone and Dublin?
Yeah, they could both face punishment following the brawl that punctuated their Allianz Football League game in Omagh on Sunday night. Players and officials from both sides clashed in the Healy Park tunnel, with social media footage capturing the extent of the violence. Tyrone won the game by 3 points. And speaking on this morning's OTB AM, former Meath captain Anthony Moyles feels these situations are easily avoided.
A lot of places you obviously have to go through that way, but there are some venues where there's actually opposite ends and you can go in a separate end. You know, you don't have to go through that main tunnel, you can be separated going through. Some teams will obviously stay in the pitch now, so they'll regather on the pitch, you know, so all the 15 will come in and then they'll all go in as a unit, rather than having fellas going in and mixing as you go in. Whether you do that just to kind of calm down or gather your thoughts after the first half of a game or whatever it is, or to avoid that conflict. But yeah, it's silly stuff. You don't want to see it, but I suppose it's what Dublin would have expected, really, going up there. Like, if I was a Dublin player, you'd be saying to yourself, Tyrone, I mentioned this last week, Tyrone had to make this an absolute battle. They had to make this parochial. They had to make this like the Battle of Omagh. They were on their knees after last week.
It ties in with the fact that Mickey Harte was very keen for the game to go ahead, by all accounts. On air, they were certainly pushing that line that Harte had been over with the referees, saying, it's grand, as the ball refuses to bounce up from...
It was that shot from Dean Rock that went up in the air and then sailed about 25
Incredible.
Different counties left.
No.
Dean Rock hits from open play, he's about, I'd say, 30 metres out, slightly left of goal. It's starting out lovely, it's just at the right post, it's about to curl back in. As soon as it starts to curl from right to left, clearly the wind is going that way. You know, like a golf ball, the spin just accelerates. The ball went out for a sideline.
Wow.
It was incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
So this is like, was it Felipe Contepomi for Leinster down at the sports ground? Kicks it over the bar and it comes back again.
It was absolutely ridiculous. I presume that's one of the reasons it's cold. They both went for the tunnel and they're both running in at pace, but it's serious digs thrown.
Oh, maybe it is the angle of the footage that you see on social media from right down on above. It's like, was it the Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones where they're like squashing right in at each other?
I never got past.
Jon Snow's the only one left.
Never got into it.
That was Dean Rock, been squeezed out of it. But like nothing ever happens. And I heard Alan Quinlan on this morning like saying, you've got to clamp down on this because it is one of the things, it's one of the biggest problems the GAA has. This happens at every level. Yeah. And if you let the All-Ireland champions be involved in something like that, I'm not saying they're to blame or there's very much two parties involved in this, but it's the sort of thing that happens at club games, week in, week out, because it's just
the way GAA is.
Everyone can get a dig in.
It is, you see, you're accused of being a bit po-faced when you talk about it in those terms, but it is an embarrassment on the sport.
The thing about
it is a stain on the sport, and we all have heard horrible stories of night out, one punch, one punch doing
injury.
You're in a tunnel in Omagh. There's a wall right beside you. There's people pushing here, there, and everywhere.
Like League of Ireland fans had to eat a lot of shit as a result of the brawl, and among a certain number of people outside in Fisborough. And that's away from the game, hour or so after the game, and in public. This is actually happening with protagonists involved in the game itself. The exact same incident, and yet it'll probably be like slap on the wrists, on you go. We'll see you down the road for the next one.
But it is the fact it's a tunnel, and I don't even mind players in the middle of the pitch having a good scrap. Fair enough. You're the players. It's the hangers-on and the 40 people in the backroom staff and a couple of owl lads getting a sly dig in here and there, but don't want to take it. Don't want to stand up to a inter-county footballer to a fight, but it'll just sort of, cheap kicks here and there. It's
I'd say even amongst the players, isn't it?
I think amongst the players at this stage,
I don't think there's a fair enough aspect to it. I think no matter who's involved,
on the pitch, in the game, if things get heated and there's a bit of a scrap, these things happen. But for people who should have no involvement with players, shouldn't be touching players, getting near players at any stage, that's where it feels like it's different within the GAA. Everyone can pile in
with almost impunity. Yeah, no, there were terrible scenes, really. FA Cup action this evening?
Yep, the fifth round getting underway tonight. It's of course spread across a number of nights instead of just the one weekend. Ronan Curtis is on the bench for Portsmouth tonight for their meeting with Arsenal. Arsenal giving a debut to Pablo Mari, their January signing from Flamengo, and kick-off at Fratton Park is at 7:45. In the Championship tonight, Nottingham Forest can close the gap on the automatic promotion places to 6 points. Sabri Lamouchi's side are away to struggling Middlesbrough. And Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp insists that Dejan Lovren was not to blame for Saturday's 3-0 Premier League defeat to Watford. The Croatian centre-back was making his first top-flight appearance since December, top-flight start I should say, with many blaming the 30-year-old for the league leader's defensive woes. But speaking ahead of tomorrow night's FA Cup trip to Chelsea, Klopp says Lovren's lack of game time may have influenced his display.
Yes, and it was a massive challenge for Dejan to play against Troy Deeney. So many other centre-halves in the world would struggle in these specific situations. And Joe had problems in similar situations before that. Probably everybody forgets it now and then in these situations, in that moments. That's how it is. Dejan and Joel played for us on this position. Sensational games. But like everybody in life, you need to be healthy, then you have to get fit. And when you are fit, you need rhythm. So that's the most difficult thing to get in professional football, because if you're out, you have sessions, stuff like this, but you don't play that often. So that's the situation. But he's an outstanding centre-half.
I mean, we understand why he played badly, but he still played very badly. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I've never seen plays badly either.
He's had a couple of off days in the
Madrid.
last
He
few
wasn't
weeks.
good. Yeah, Madrid he wasn't good.
It looked as though he bounced back though against West Ham, where he was brilliant. Like, he ran the show this night last week.
Okay.
But Liverpool, it did feel as though this was coming. But I think now Van Dijk has lost 5 games at Liverpool, and Lovren has been his central defensive partnership for
They've
4
lost
of them.
2 Premier League games in '66, and Lovren started both.
Well, that's just unfortunate. That's like Gareth Bale didn't win a game for a season with Spurs.
Perhaps, or like you watch the way Van Dijk plays, he never stops giving everyone around him instructions. Like, he's never stops in Joe Gomez's ear. Like, maybe Lovren just doesn't listen.
Too senior.
Too senior. It's like, here, listen, I played in World Cup final. I'll do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah, maybe. There was like Fabinho wasn't good. Van Dijk himself wasn't very good.
No, Van Dijk was caught totally flat-footed for the second goal. Positioning wasn't great for the first goal. Yeah, like 3-0 was quite kind to Liverpool by the end of that.
In some respects,
Watford
yeah.
were absolutely destroying them.
They were good. Did you see Troy Deeney with the scout in the tunnel? Or with the mascot in the tunnel?
No.
This was on Too Good, Too Bad, where Jordan Flores featured as well on Match of the Day 2 last night. So in the tunnel before they went out of Vicarage Road, Troy Deeney is obviously leading out Watford and Van Dijk is leading out Liverpool, and they have their mascots beside them. And Troy Deeney turns to his mascot and nods towards Van Dijk. He says, "If you paid more money, you could have stood next to him." And Van Dijk doesn't look over, but he cracks a little smile to himself because, you know, it's true.
Brilliant. You have Jordan Flores coming up.
Yes, we do.
My 6-year-old was at the match.
Sorry, how did we not start talking about
Sorry.
that? We should have opened with that.
We should have.
Not
washing our hands.
antibacterial
You
gel.
talk about greatness and all of that, and I couldn't go to the match. I was babysitting / minding my child on Friday night.
It's not babysitting, it's your own child.
Sorry, you don't babysit your own
No, you
child.
don't. I was minding my youngest child, but the 6-year-old went off with his mate to the match and his dad. So I was delighted. Like, obviously, great game. See this wonder goal that we've been talking about for years. He comes back at half-time. I'm like, what a goal. You must be delighted there. What goal? I was like, the Dundalk goal. What is there? We were talking. I was there. What? What about Jack Byrne's goal? Yeah, and I was drinking my Fanta, so I was looking the other way. Like, oh my God.
Do you know what, though? It means good game, bad game.
It doesn't matter. They have a good time.
time.
They have a good time no matter
What a
what.
good game it was.
Oh, it was a great game.
Yeah, what an advertisement.
Really good game.
Yeah,
Really
wasn't
good
it?
game,
They're up-tempo, technical, goals, really good stadium, modern crowd, everything. And compared to like such a bad opening weekend.
Even just the dynamic of the game as well. I kind of thought just before Rovers got the equaliser that like Rovers had played so well, but Dundalk just had that sort of champion spirit of tight game. They knew how to get it done. And then like Jack Byrne, I thought, hadn't been quite enough the last 20 minutes. Just
did his thing.
Just ran the show.
Yeah. Nigel Hickey in touch. That McDonough plays 20 years old, Joe. Very funny, though. So it is. I didn't realise. The Lieutenant of Inishmore, 2001. Is what I'm seeing here. Very, very good though. I'd get along to it if you
20
can.
years old.
Did you see it first time round?
Oh, I'm just like thinking
2001.
2001
Yeah.
20 years old.
10 years ago. And Fintan Kieran on the dust-up in the tunnel. Lads, can you imagine the outcry if it was 2 Ulster counties involved? The hypocrisy on this is laughable. We just said it was a disgrace. Both of them are a disgrace. They should both be
No
punished.
matter who is involved, it's a disgrace.
I think the fact that Dublin are involved brings far more attention to it.
Possibly
Like,
so,
if that was
yeah.
Tyrone and Armagh, we got mad as usual.
Well, that is bias that he's talking about.
Yeah.
But, no, it's equal opportunists here. They were both very culpable. Right. Do I have to do a read before I do. Cheltenham, every night this week, we are giving away a €100 one-for-all voucher, and on Saturday, we'll have a grand prize of flights and tickets. Nathan Murphy will be in his house watching you fly. Imagine that. Flights and tickets to the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle Day next Thursday, 12th of March. You'll be flown to Cheltenham, enjoy breakfast at Jury's Hotel, be brought from Jury's to the racecourse, enjoy one of the best days in the racing calendar, be transferred back to the airport afterwards, and then flown back to Dublin by nightfall, all with thanks to our Cheltenham partner, Paddy Power. To win, just play our game Phony or Pony. The rules are simple. We'll read out 3...
Ever there was a JP Gilburn competition, this is it.
100% his fingerprints.
How does this not have a sting? Phony or pony. The rules are simple.
Giddy up.
We'll read out 3 horses' names. You have to tell us which is the real horse here, i.e. the pony. That's in the script. Which is the real horse?
Come on, Joe, you're a professional.
Foxy Jacks, Mouldy Jacks, Out of Order Jacks. Which is the real horse? So Foxy Jacks, Mouldy Jacks, Out of Order Jacks. Pick out the real horse. Text your name answer 53106. We'll pick out the winner who goes into Saturday's draw for Saturdays Off the Ball between 3 and 5 p.m. Again, it's all with thanks to Paddy Power. Cheltenham's coming home. Short ad break. Cliona O'Connor next.
Off the Ball on Newstalk.
Have a great evening with itsforwomen.ie. Great value car insurance on the web, on demand, on the go. Itsforwomen.ie. It's always on hand. It's always online.
Need next day delivery on industrial tools and safety supplies? Then you need Caulfield Industrial, one of Ireland's largest suppliers. Our nationwide distribution service offers next day delivery on over 50,000 stock items from caulfieldindustrial.com. We supply quality tools, safety gear and equipment from all the top brands like DeWalt, Snickers, Bosch, Stanley, Baco and more. So whether you're a professional tradesman or a DIY enthusiast, shop online at caulfieldindustrial.com.
Here at Dacia, we have some big news. The Dacia Duster is still Ireland's most affordable family SUV. At just €17,990, nobody comes near us on price, meaning a saving of over